Hello, I'm Inventor Dan Zen. I've just been out in the woods and came out at a park, and the park is called Bumblebee Hill Park. And there's nobody at the park, and it has this grassy area, and then it's got a nice slope down to the rail trail with soft grasses and stuff. I can guarantee you not 1 out of 1,000 people have even been on the slope or paid attention to it even, really. So it seems like an ideal place to have people make use of that slope. You go out to the Dundurn stairs and people are climbing up the stairs for exercise. And I mean, that's where I've got to drive. I've got to drive there if I want to do that. But I don't have to drive to this little park right next to our place. And if we just had something to go up and down. So I was giving some thought to what that would be. In a natural sense, it might just be depressions kind of cut out of the slope. But steps on a slope isn't the most inventive concept. I would like to encourage people, instead of going up steps, I would like to encourage them to scramble. To be down on their hands and feet and kind of scrambling up the slope. That has a feel of rock climbing. There's a certain skill to it. It gets your whole body moving, and to scramble is a good medium. It's only, like, not everybody can rock climb. It really, you got to get these harnesses, or in part people do these days, get these harnesses. And there's these walls or a cliff, find the right cliff. You've got the danger, all this kind of stuff. And plus, it's hard. It's hard to lift yourself up. It's good exercise, but it's not intermediate exercise. Climbing stairs is boring. My goodness, no wonder nobody wants to do it. It really doesn't make too much use of this part of the body. Walking, running, but nobody is scrambling anymore. I mean, scrambling is a lost art in a sense, sort of like squatting. Nobody here squats, and people in Asia squat, and they have all sorts of benefits from it. Anyway, scrambling would be wonderful, and scrambling is what you do when you go up and down ravines at a 45-degree angle to a 30-degree angle to even a 60-degree angle, 90-degree. Well, not 90, 90, 60 like that. Yeah, I've just gone up and down those today. 45 for sure, that's great. And the nice thing about ravines is, believe it or not, they usually have a graduation. Some parts of it are really steep, and then you can find parts of it that are shallower. So you've got a gradation of skill levels or exercise requirements, and with different types of tracks to scramble on. So, what do we scramble with? Well, therein lays the rub, I suppose, or what do we scramble on? If we take, say, boulders or rocks, this big, and we put them in the ground so that there's, little grips, that would be one possibility. Dangers, hitting heads or, falling down and knocking yourself on it. I mean, right next to it, there's a concrete path that people can fall on, but it's flatter, so, there's still going to be safety people going, whoa, there's rocks in that, you're going to hit yourself. And it's a public park, so this kind of thing is really why people don't scramble anymore. It's because it's not the safest in this time of lawsuits and conservative safety. So, what else is there? Okay, not rocks. Obviously, pegs or sticks or something like. I mean, these are all options and could be done in various ways. So I'm just going through options now of what types of foundation we could scramble on. If they're sticks, then they come out of the ground, possibly you could poke yourself on them. So again, that would be fine. I mean, it'd be neat to grab sticks sort of on your way up, or sticks this way if they were almost like handles in the ground. But how do you, you could lay sticks on the ground, logs on the ground, and that's sort of a natural way of doing it. Obviously, you can manufacture something that kind of sticks in the ground, but anything that sticks in the ground, you got to watch it because it goes down. Somebody pulls it up, and there's this big stake, and that's trouble. So you can't really glue to the ground, although I did give that some consideration. And then there's weight. You know, the weight of a rock, it kind of sits on the ground. That's one aspect about a rock, though. Even if it's embedded in, there's erosion around it, and it can come loose in the rocks, and somebody can get sued again. So pegs, I'm considering pegs are pretty well out. I don't want to do something that's pegged in there. Burying something, yes, perhaps. Certainly we could bury boulders big enough so they won't come out, but that's a bit of a pain in the neck to do. So let's progress. Burying a stump of something, that's maybe a little bit easier than boulders, hard to say, but stumps where they rot, etc. So, looking to not quite natural things, but things that are around that we could use in a recyclable way. Tires. Tires, I think, possibly are the answer. A tire track. So I thought initially that it would be nice to have these nubbins that you can just grip on. And then, well, what about cutting a tire and sticking that sort of hump on there? That would be a nice nubbin, a little foothold and a nubbin to scramble and pull up. But how do you put that into the ground? Well, you could bury the whole tire and leave like a curl of the top being a nubbin. Now that's a lot of work and a lot of kind of a waste of tire. These days tires might be steel belted. Perhaps there is some code that says you cannot put steel belted tires out in the wilderness or in parks. They need to be the pure rubber ones, and therefore you have to buy them from this location. You gotta go, oh come on, we're trying to recycle here. But anyway, there's bound to be tire. Well, so instead of cutting them, because that would reveal this, the steel belt or what have you, let's just leave the tire whole and lay them flat on the ground as and then have a bunch of them. So down the hill, tire, and you scramble up the tires. As simple as possible would be good. As simple as possible is just a series of tires going up the hill, maybe 20 of them. Sort of probably bolted together and just say, there you go. Does that bring to me the sense of, oh, I want to scramble up that? No. I do want to scramble up nubbins. I don't particularly want to scramble up tires. Mind you, it'd probably be more fun and more rewarding for me than going up and down steps, which is completely mindlessly boring and torturous. But still, it's not quite as fun. Now, if the tires were embedded a little bit, like if they were buried, if the tire track went down and you're sort of just left with the rubber of the top parts of the tire, in a sense, or the lips of the edge and stuff, that would be fun. You almost want to kind of just take a tire and bury it on sort of an angle, so that one bit of it, the top bit of it, at the heading towards the top of the hill, the top bit curls around on the outside. Therefore, water doesn't really sort of settle in it, and then the rest of the tire starts to get buried and sort of gets buried underground. That then would have the sense you'd be about a tire away before you have another grip, and therefore that feels pretty good. Yeah, so that's a nice route, is just to try that. But it would be neat to, if we did have this woven track, or if there were some way, maybe you put 3 tires out to the side, and that way you've got more of a scrambling feel. You could you could possibly retrofit or put inside of these tires, say 3 tires across, and then 20 tires up, 10 tires up. Obviously, it doesn't matter. Hey, what about a path? That would be cool. So rather than so specifically just up and down, how about tracks, like a tree of tires, or a pattern, a cross weave of tires? And that way you've got the ability, or you sort of feel like there's some different things you can do. You can take different routes. You could even, like I was saying, retrofit, or not retrofit, but sort of fit certain tires with certain things, like a little rope loop, or a peg, or a foothold, like you could cut ovals in them or something. And maybe that would provide some you could double up. You could put tires on top of tires and sort of make little sort of stacking bump areas. You could flip certain tires. That would work pretty well. That would be cool. I can imagine a row of tires flat and then a row of tires upright like this, and then another row of tires flat. And that way people could walk on the top of the tires, but also have tire protection next to them. They could do routines where they sort of jump across the tire, then to the other side, sort of a vaulting. As they're scrambling, they've got this vaulting feel. Yeah, all those ideas really lead me to think that might be a very simple place to start. If I were to design some of those tire structures, take it to whoever owns that Bumblebee Park and say to them, hey, look, here's an idea for a recreational ravine for the edge. Could we put this in place? I have a feeling it's going to go through torture to get anywhere. There's a possibility of testing these out on private land. I have a few friends with ravines and stuff. That might be the route to go, and actually show video and test it, and provide or create some alternatives. There's also McMaster University, where I would like to explore engineering structures for recreational ravines. They've got lots of ravines as well. And this is the type of thing. I mean, I can sit down as an engineer, as any engineer could, and sort of say, hey, look, how about this? Boom, and there's an idea. As soon as you get the idea of a recreational ravine, there's just, countless things that you can do. I'd like to put in different slide structures as well. So combine the climbing aspect with sliding aspects. So you slide down, climb up. Slide down, climb up. A lot of people bike around these areas. Maybe the bike, there's that issue, slide, and people ride down it with their bikes. It's just such a pain, And this land, we're so conservative in our safety. It's just, it's unreal to be able to get something like that done. It's just not of this age. It's a shame. I'm Inventor Dan Zen, here with ideas about recreational ravines, and specifically the idea of scrambling, which is sort of a newer concept for me. I always knew ravines were fun to go up and down, and I had developed ideas for like making a track, and you pull yourself up the track, and then you can slide down the track and pull yourself up and slide down, and this is some sort of trolley kind of on just one outside of here. Where I live, there's a little ravine that goes between two roads. So exploring different ways up and down, I hadn't really realized that the big difference with that is the type of exercise that you get from scrambling. The safer exercise of using both your hands and legs. See, nobody crawls on the ground. Crawling on the ground is quite uncomfortable. It would give you the same type of exercise, and that would be fine. But it's just a little bit easier if you're on a slant, because then you. And the cool thing, I don't know if you've ever tried. Have you ever tried to crawl down a slant? It's crazy, Your blood kind of goes to your head, and you feel like it's. You feel like you're in peril or in danger. What's that? The adrenaline that rushes through you because you feel like if you fall, you're going to not kill yourself necessarily, but it's like you're hanging upside down, but you're not. If you fall, nothing happens. You just lay on the slant with your head upside down. As a matter of fact, laying on slants, I've always loved. I go out to places where like the sand dunes, where there's a big or the sand hills, big hills of sand coming down. And one of the best things you can do is lie upside down on it and just sort of feel what it feels. It puts you on the earth again. It gets you in touch with gravity. And I think that ravines or edges like this, they have that possibility. Scramble up, but you can scramble down, facing down, and that adds an extra level of strength building to what you're doing. Ciao.